Before you scroll away, listen carefully. Because the conversation your soulmate had with a complete stranger was never supposed to change the way they saw you. They thought they were just sharing their feelings. They thought they were just talking about someone they loved. But the stranger's reaction, the words they said, and the truth they revealed, left your soulmate completely speechless. Because this stranger saw something about you, something your soulmate had been searching for a long time. Something hidden behind your smile. Something hidden behind your silence. Something hidden behind the way you carry yourself. Your soulmate always knew there was something different about you. They could feel it. They noticed the way people trusted you. They noticed the way strangers felt comfortable around you. They noticed how you could walk into someone's difficult moment, and somehow bring peace. But they never understood why. They asked themselves, why is this person so different? Why does their heart feel so rare? Why do they care so deeply when the world has given them reasons not to? They loved you. But they still had questions. Not because they doubted you. Not because they didn't believe in you. But because some people carry a depth that cannot be explained by ordinary words. So one day, your soulmate opened up to a stranger. Someone they had never met before. Someone who didn't know your history. Someone who had no reason to say anything except what they truly felt. Your soulmate started talking. They talked about your personality. Your habits. Your dreams. Your fears. They talked about the little things you did that nobody noticed. The way you remembered small details. The way you checked on people. The way you gave your time even when you were busy. The way you smiled even when you had your own problems. And then, the stranger suddenly became quiet. Your soulmate noticed. They asked, why did you stop? The stranger looked at them and said, because I think you don't realize who you have in your life. Those words changed everything. Your soulmate froze. Because those were the exact words they had been feeling, but never knew how to express. The stranger continued, you are describing someone who has been through things they rarely talk about. Someone who learned compassion because they know what pain feels like. Someone who understands broken hearts because they have had to heal their own. Your soulmate became silent. Because suddenly, everything started making sense. The moments they misunderstood. The times you became quiet. The times you needed space. The times you looked strong, but were actually carrying something heavy. They finally understood. Your silence was not rejection. Your silence was survival. Your distance was not a lack of love. Your distance was sometimes a way to protect your peace. Your strength was not because life was easy. Your strength was because you refused to let life change your heart. And maybe, someone listening right now needs this reminder. Maybe people only see the version of you that you show them. Maybe they see your smile, but not your struggles. Maybe they see your kindness, but not the pain that taught you compassion. Maybe they see you helping everyone, but they forget that you also need someone to support you. If you believe God knows the battles you never speak about, write, God knows my story. Not because you need to convince anyone. But because sometimes, your own heart needs a reminder. Your story matters. Your journey matters. You matter. Your soulmate looked at the stranger and asked, how do you know all this? The stranger smiled. I don't know their past. I only know what kind of person creates this kind of energy. Your soulmate listened carefully. The stranger continued, when someone has suffered and still chooses kindness. That tells you something about their heart. When someone has been hurt and still chooses love. That tells you something about their strength. When someone has every reason to become bitter, but chooses forgiveness. That tells you something about their soul. Those words touched your soulmate deeply. Because they realized, they had been focusing on what they could receive from you. Your love. your attention, your support. But they had forgotten to ask, what did it take for this person to become who they are? And that question changed everything. Because real love is not only appreciating someone's beauty. It is respecting their journey. It is understanding their scars. It is honoring the battles they fought before you arrived. Faith teaches us that every person has value beyond what the world can see. Every person has a purpose. Every person carries gifts. Every person has moments when they need grace. Even the strongest warriors need moments of rest. Even the brightest lights need darkness to reveal their power. And even the most loving hearts need someone who says, you don't have to be strong all the time. Your soulmate remembered a conversation with you. A moment they almost forgot. You once said, I just want someone to understand my heart. At that time, they thought it was a simple sentence. Now, it felt like a message. Because they realized, you were never asking someone to fix you. You were never asking someone to save you. You were simply hoping someone would see you. Really see you. Not only the good days. Not only the achievements. Not only the moments when everything was perfect. But the complete person. The person with dreams. The person with fears. The person with memories. The person with a heart that has survived. The stranger then said something that your soulmate would remember forever. They are not special because they have never been broken. They are special because they refuse to let broken moments destroy their ability to love. Your soulmate felt tears in their eyes. Because they finally understood. The reason they felt connected to you was not because you had a perfect story. It was because you had a powerful story. A story of growth. A story of courage. A story of becoming. And maybe, that is the reason some people enter our lives. Not because they complete us. But because they remind us of something we forgot. They remind us to love deeper. To forgive faster. To appreciate more. To see beyond the surface. Your soulmate went home that day with a different heart. They looked at you differently. They listened differently. They appreciated differently. Because a stranger helped them discover something they had overlooked. The person they loved was carrying a story much bigger than they imagined. But the stranger had one final thing to say. One final truth. That would completely change how your soulmate understood your connection. And when they heard it, they realized why meeting you was never just a coincidence. Your soulmate couldn't stop thinking about the stranger's words. They are not special because they have never been broken. They are special because they refuse to let broken moments destroy their ability to love. Those words stayed in their mind. Because for the first time, they started looking at your life from a different perspective. They stopped seeing only the person you became. They started seeing the journey that created you. They remembered the first time they met you. The first conversation. The first laugh. The first moment they realized there was something different about you. At that time, they thought it was just attraction. Just a feeling. Just a connection. But now, they understood. Sometimes a person enters your life carrying lessons you didn't know you needed. Sometimes someone appears at the exact moment when your heart is ready to grow. Your soulmate remembered how you always notice things other people ignored. A friend who was feeling lonely. A stranger who needed kindness. A family member who needed support. You noticed. You cared. You showed up. And your soulmate finally understood why. It was not because you had an easy life. It was because you knew what it felt like when nobody showed up for you. You knew what it felt like to need understanding. You knew what it felt like to silently hope someone would notice. And because you knew that feeling, you decided to become the person you once needed. That realization changed your soulmate deeply. Because they discovered something powerful. Your kindness was not weakness. Your kindness was evidence of strength. In a world where many people become cold after being hurt, you chose warmth. In a world where many people stop trusting after disappointment, you chose faith. In a world where many people close their hearts after pain, you chose love. And that was rare. Your soulmate asked the stranger, "How can someone go through so much and still remain like this?" The stranger smiled. Because some people understand something important. They know pain can either become a prison, or it can become a teacher. Your soulmate became quiet. Because those words felt true. Your struggles did not disappear. Your difficult moments did not magically become easy. But somehow, you learned from them. You grew through them. You became someone who could understand others. And that was your gift. Not being perfect. Not having every answer. But having a heart that remained open. The stranger continued, "People often ask why good people experience difficult things. But sometimes, the difficult things are what create the depth inside them. They create patience. They create compassion. They create wisdom." Your soulmate looked down. They thought about all the moments they wanted you to be different. The moments they wished you would talk more. The moments they wished you would explain yourself. But now they understood. Some hearts need time. Some hearts need safety. Some hearts need someone who stays long enough to prove they are not leaving. And that is what your soulmate wanted to become. Not someone who demanded your trust. Someone who earned it. Not someone who forced you to open your heart. Someone who created a place where your heart felt safe. Because love is not about breaking someone's walls. Love is about showing them they don't need walls with you. Maybe someone watching this right now has spent years protecting their heart. Maybe you learned to hide your feelings. Maybe you learned to say, "I'm okay," even when you were not. Maybe you became independent because depending on people disappointed you. If that sounds like you, write, "My heart is healing." Because healing is not always loud. Sometimes healing is simply allowing yourself to believe that better days can come. Your soulmate returned home that evening. They didn't tell you everything the stranger said. Not yet. They wanted to show you first. Through actions. Through patience. Through love. They started noticing things they had ignored before. They noticed when you were tired. They noticed when you needed encouragement. They noticed when you became quiet. And instead of asking, "What's wrong with you?" they started asking, "How can I support you?" That small change created something beautiful. Because people often change when they feel understood. They don't change because someone pressures them. They change because they feel safe enough to grow. Days passed. Then weeks. And your soulmate felt the relationship becoming deeper. Not because there were no challenges. But because both of you learned how to handle challenges together. They learned that love is not only about happy moments. Love is also about difficult conversations. It is about forgiveness. It is about patience. It is about choosing the same person even when life becomes complicated. One night, your soulmate remembered the stranger again. They wondered, how did this person understand so much without knowing our story? Then they realized something. The stranger did not know every detail. They simply recognized something familiar. A good heart. A person who cared. A person who carried light. And sometimes, you don't need someone's entire history to recognize something beautiful. You simply feel it. Like a song you have never heard before, but somehow your heart remembers. Like a place you have never visited, but somehow feels familiar. Like a person you just met, but somehow feels important. Your soulmate finally understood why your connection felt different. It wasn't because you were the same. It was because you helped each other become better. You challenged each other. You supported each other. You reminded each other of what truly mattered. And then, the stranger sent one final message. A message that your soulmate would save forever. It said, "Never forget. The people with the greatest hearts are often the ones who have survived the greatest storms. Love them gently. Listen to them carefully. Appreciate them completely." Your soulmate read those words again and again. Because they understood. They had been searching for a reason why you felt special. But the answer was simple. You were special because you were real. You were special because you cared. You were special because after everything, you still chose love. But there was still one final revelation. The stranger knew one more thing about your connection. Something that would make your soulmate realize why your paths crossed at exactly the right moment. Your soulmate kept staring at that final message. Why your paths crossed at exactly the right moment. Those words felt different. Because deep inside, they had always wondered the same thing. Why you? Why them? Why did two completely different lives come together at one specific moment? They had met many people before. They had shared conversations. They had created memories. But something about you felt different. Something about your presence felt peaceful. Something about your heart felt familiar. And now, after talking to the stranger, they started understanding. Maybe some connections are not created because two people have the same story. Maybe they are created because two people have the ability to help each other write a better one. Your soulmate remembered the first time they saw you. They remembered how you treated people. Not just how you treated them. That was the difference. Anyone can be kind when they want something. Anyone can show love when everything is easy. But you were kind when nobody was watching. You helped when there was nothing to gain. You cared when nobody was giving you credit. And that was the first thing that made them notice you. Your heart. Not your appearance. Not your achievements. Not what you could offer. Your heart. The stranger had recognized something your soulmate was still learning. A person's true character is revealed in the moments where there is no reward. When nobody is clapping. When nobody is thanking them. When nobody even knows what they did. And your soulmate realized, those were the moments that defined you. The stranger's words continued to echo. Some people spend their entire lives looking for someone who makes them feel loved. But the rare ones are the ones who make others feel loved even while they are still healing themselves. Your soulmate felt emotional. Because they knew that described you. You had your own fears. Your own doubts. Your own moments of uncertainty. But somehow, you still found a way to bring comfort to others. That was not ordinary. That was something powerful. Your soulmate started thinking about all the times they almost misunderstood you. The times they thought you were quiet because you didn't care. The times they thought you needed space because you were losing feelings. The times they thought your strength meant you didn't need support. But now they understood. Sometimes the strongest people are not the people who need nothing. They are the people who have learned to carry things quietly. And sometimes, the greatest gift you can give them is simply saying, you don't have to carry everything alone anymore. Your soulmate wanted to tell you that. They wanted you to know, I see you. I see the parts of you that nobody notices. I see your effort. I see your heart. I see how much you try. Because everyone wants to be loved. But deep down, everyone wants to be recognized. Not for what they do, but for who they are. Your soulmate remembered something you said long ago. You said, people don't always need someone to fix their problems. Sometimes they just need someone who stays. At that time, your soulmate thought it was a nice quote. Now, they realized it was your entire philosophy of life. You were someone who stayed. You stayed when things were difficult. You stayed when people were imperfect. You stayed when walking away would have been easier. And that was why your love had depth. Because you understood something many people forget: leaving is easy. Staying with compassion requires courage. Faith-inspired stories often remind us that love is not only an emotion. It is a choice. A choice to forgive. A choice to understand. A choice to show kindness. A choice to believe there is still goodness even after experiencing pain. And that was the lesson your soulmate discovered. The stranger was not revealing a secret about you. They were revealing a truth about love. They were teaching your soulmate how to see. How to look beyond the surface. How to recognize the invisible battles people carry. How to appreciate a heart before losing the chance to appreciate it. Maybe, someone listening right now needs this message. Maybe you have spent years wondering why people don't understand you. Maybe you have felt like you give so much but receive so little. Maybe you have wondered if your kindness is a weakness. But remember this: a soft heart in a hard world is not weakness. It is courage. A forgiving heart is not foolish. It is strength. A loving heart is not something to hide. It is something to protect. If you believe your heart is a gift, write, "My heart is my strength." Your soulmate eventually told their best friend about the stranger. They said, "I don't know how someone who doesn't know us understood so much." Their best friend smiled. Maybe because some truths don't require a long explanation. Maybe some things are recognized by the heart. Those words stayed with them. Because they realized, the stranger didn't know every chapter of your life. But they understood the main message. You were someone who had been through storms, and still chose to become sunshine for others. You were someone who had experienced pain, and still chose compassion. You were someone who had reasons to give up, and still chose hope. That was the real revelation. Not that you had a perfect past. But that you had a powerful spirit. Not that you never struggled. But that you never stopped growing. Not that you never fell. But that you always found a way to rise. Your soulmate looked at you one evening. You noticed something different. You asked, "Why are you looking at me like that?" They smiled. "Because I realized something." "What?" "I have been loving you. But I don't think I fully appreciated you." You became quiet. Because sometimes the most meaningful words are the ones we never expected to hear. They continued, "I thought I knew your story. But I only knew the chapters you shared. I didn't know the chapters you survived." Those words touched your heart. Because everyone has chapters they don't talk about. Everyone has moments they keep private. Everyone has memories they carry silently. And when someone chooses to love you despite not knowing every detail, that is something special. Your soulmate held your hand. And said, "I don't need to know every battle you fought before me. I just want to make sure you don't have to fight alone now." That moment changed something between you. Because love became deeper. Not because everything became perfect. But because both of you became more understanding. More patient. More grateful. Years later, your soulmate would remember that conversation with the stranger. They would remember the lesson. They would remember how one simple conversation changed their perspective forever. Because before that day, they thought love was about finding someone who made them happy. After that day, they understood love was about honoring someone's heart. Supporting someone's growth. Protecting someone's peace. And appreciating someone's journey. The stranger had not predicted the future. They had simply helped your soulmate see the present. And the present was beautiful. Because right in front of them was someone who was trying. Someone who cared. Someone who loved deeply. Someone who had a heart worth protecting. And maybe, that is the greatest lesson. Sometimes the people we love are waiting for us to notice something that has been there all along. Their value. their courage, their heart, their story. Your soulmate confided in a stranger about you, and the stranger's reaction changed everything they believed. Because they discovered something they never expected. You were not just someone they loved. You were someone they were blessed to know. Someone who reminded them that kindness still exists. That hope still exists. That love still exists. And most importantly, that every person carries a story worth understanding. So if you ever wonder whether your life has meaning, remember this: the world may not always see your battles. People may not always understand your journey. But every act of kindness matters. Every moment of love matters. Every choice to keep going matters. Your story is not defined by what hurt you. It is defined by what you chose to become. And maybe, the greatest discovery waiting for you is not someone else finally seeing your worth. Maybe it is you finally seeing it yourself. Because you were never just surviving. You were becoming. Becoming wiser. Becoming stronger. Becoming more compassionate. Becoming the person you were always meant to be. And the right people, the people with genuine hearts, will recognize that. They will not only see your smile. They will respect your journey. They will not only love your happiness. They will honor your healing. They will not only celebrate where you are. They will appreciate how far you have come. Because some souls are not special because life was easy for them. Some souls are special because life was difficult, and they still chose love.